guys, I don't care anymore. I'm out here. Here I am. I'm going to be voicing my own opinion. Like I do all the time. I'm not going to be a schmark. I'm not going to be a mark. Or anything like that. I'm just going to be here to voice my opinion. And it's just my opinion. It's all it is. It's all it is an opinion. Wrestling fans nowadays, they don't give a shit about opinions. All they want is what they want. Well, guess what? On this week's edition of Monday Night Raw, we get something by the name of a wild card rule. By Vince McMahon announces a wild card rule where superstars from Raw can come over to SmackDown for a night, and superstars of Raw can go over to SmackDown for a night. Now, at first when I heard this, I was like, oh, well, this doesn't sound good. They're ruining the brand split. But then I remembered something. This was the same thing that happened in 2011. The same year that I was watching WWE, and I loved it back then. Back then, I loved it. You'd see, like, CM Punk, when he was the WWE Champion, he'd go to Raw, he'd go to SmackDown. When Sheamus, when he was the World Heavyweight Champion that year, he'd come over to Raw, he'd appear on SmackDown. He was a SmackDown, Sheamus was a part of the SmackDown brand, and here he was showing up on Raw with the World Heavyweight Championship. They were doing it for a long time. 2011 was basically the way how they ended the brand split. But to me, I actually enjoyed that. When the brand split was still going, I actually enjoyed that stuff. I thought that stuff was cool. Possible dream matches that they could have. I would love to see Seth Rollins show up on SmackDown tomorrow. Have the first ever Universal Championship match on SmackDown Live. That sounds like a great idea. So in my opinion, I think this wild card rule is actually something I'm actually a fan of. I actually like this. This is all my opinion, by the way. If you guys don't like it, that's perfectly fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But this wild card rule gave us a really good rematch with Kofi Kingston and the return of Daniel Bryan. But we'll get into that later on. The show kicked off with Roman Reigns, who told Vince McMahon, actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. If there's one thing I'm not going to be doing anymore, that is explaining to you what happens. If you guys watched Monday Night Raw, you would know what happened. So Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns all came out, and Vince McMahon brought in the wild card rule. That's how he brought it in, because Roman, Bryan, and Kofi are all a part of SmackDown. So he said 3 SmackDown superstars are allowed to join Raw, are allowed to be a part of Raw. They'll still be a part of the SmackDown brand, but they can be a part of Raw. Same thing with Raw. They could do the same thing tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. People from Raw can come over to SmackDown for a night. That sounds like good. That sounds like a good thing to me. Because remember, this was something I enjoyed in 2011. Remember when they had one women's championship? Or, sorry, Divas Championship, when they still had the Divas Championship. They'd only had the champion they only had the champion go to both shows. Yes, it's the same thing here. Only Becky Lynch and the Iconics should be allowed to go between different shows because they've got a belt that lets them to go between different shows. But to me, I just think this wildcard rule is something I'm actually a big fan of. We'll see how it goes. So when the wildcard rule was announced, AJ Styles and Seth Rollins don't like each other. AJ Styles, he ended up coming out after this, and then so did Seth Rollins, and they were both bickering with each other. And Vince just says that you two are going to be teaming up together. You're going to be taking on the team of Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley, the mid-card of evil. No, that is not their name. That is not their actual team name. That is just something Wrestle Talk came up with, and I'm actually a big fan of it. Yes, there was no Drew McIntyre, but they're still the mid-card of evil, in my opinion. So, okay, this is something I didn't like. It's because it's a typical WWE thing. They would always have the two people who are competing against each other for the World Championship, and they would just put them in a tag team match if they're two babyfaces. They would put the two babyfaces together in a tag team match, just try to have them coexist, and then that tag team would end up losing. That's something I'm not a fan of. I would much rather have AJ and Seth brawl with each other. Show that they want to get at each other. AJ Styles teasing heel tendencies when he delivered the phenomenal forearm to Seth Rollins. And then he walked off, and Baron Corbin finished the match with an end of days. So yeah. The match itself wasn't that great. It wasn't really that great. So Sami Zayn, he had another segment about the WWE Universe. And here's the thing. Why was Renee Young talking in the middle of this, saying that someone needs to shut this guy up? You do know having commentary during a promo actually kind of ruins the promo and the impact of it. So having Renee Young rudely talking in the middle of his segment kind of really let it down for me. And besides, what Sami Zayn's saying is true facts. It's true facts about the WWE Universe. It's a true fact about the Smarks. All those Smarky fans that always bitch and moan like a little bunch of babies over everything. I bet all those Smark fans are probably praising Braun Strowman because the Smark hater, Sami Zayn, got thrown into a dumpster. He basically got thrown into a dumpster truck. Ricochet and the glorious Robert Roode. They had another match, and this time for some godly reason, it was for Ricochet's spot in the Money in the Bank. Now, I did see the interview. I did see what Robert Roode... I almost said Bobby Roode. I saw what Robert Roode said in an exclusive interview. He felt like it was not fair that he beat Ricochet, but Ricochet still got picked for the Money in the Bank, and he felt like he should have been picked for the Money in the Bank. Which I will agree that is kind of true. Why would you pick a loser to go into the Money in the Bank instead of a guy that actually won? But I digress. I am a fan of Ricochet. I do enjoy his work. So if I was to replace anyone, it'd be Braun Strowman, in my opinion. But I digress. Bobby Roode. There I go again. Ricochet and Robert Roode. They had a pretty decent match, and Ricochet got the victory with the 630. I thought they were protecting that move. I thought they were giving Ricochet an extra move just to prevent him from doing that every week. I guess they got rid of that really quick. Lacey Evans. The lady, Lacey Evans. She had a match with a woman by the name of Ali Katrina. I have no idea who this Ali Katrina is, and I'm guessing she's a jobber. Enhancement talent. And the lady gets the victory with the woman's rights. And you had all the women in the Money in the Bank standing out there watching. Okay, I guess that's getting annoying. I'll stop it now. I'll stop it now. Yeah, Lacey Evans beat this silly jobber, I'm assuming that's what she is. And all the women in the Money in the Bank that were standing out there watching. And then Becky Lynch came out and she had another brawl with the lady. They had another brawl that were very ladylike, very ladyish brawl between the man and the lady. We had the Viking Raiders pin the Raw Tag Team Champions Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I really don't. I do like the Viking Raiders, but again, why are you going to pin the Tag Team Champs? I've said this many times. I've said this many times. I don't mind the champions losing. Sometimes I don't mind them losing. Sometimes I don't mind them losing because it could potentially set up their next challengers. When they get pinned to set up their next challenger, I'm okay with that. But if you're constantly having them lose and lose and lose, like what you've been doing with the Iconics, it really takes away the prestige they have with the belts. Now, if this is to confirm that the Vikings are going to be taking on Hawkins and Ryder, then that's fine. Then we had another Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse segment where Mercy the Buzzard committed murder on Rumbling Rabbit by eating him in his box. Yes, I know it's a toy, but to me it's just, but to me that actually made me laugh because of how ridiculous it is. Don't get me wrong. This Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse gimmick, I like it to a certain degree, but looks can be deceiving. I've been hearing stories that Luke Harper could be a part of the Funhouse, Nikki Cross could be a part of the Funhouse. I've even heard Eric Young could be in it. We don't know. Looks can be deceiving sometimes with the situations with Bray Wyatt. So that's basically what happened there on that edition of Firefly Funhouse. We had Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, another WrestleMania rematch. I didn't like their one at WrestleMania. I didn't really like the one they had here. I guess it might have been somewhat better than their WrestleMania one. But Roman Reigns got the victory via disqualification due to Shane McMahon and Elias attacking Roman Reigns. And Drew basically ended off with a Claymore kick. The funniest segment of the night. Now, I like being entertained, so please excuse me if I upset any Revival fans for this segment. The Usos pranked the Revival with using Usi Hot Cream. And this was actually pretty hilarious. This was pretty hilarious stuff, in my opinion. Seeing the Revival, I guess they were hot. I guess the Usi Hot Cream made them itchy. Something must have happened. I really don't know. I really don't know what happened. But as far as I'm concerned, I actually found this pretty funny. No disrespect to the Revival, I actually found this stuff pretty funny. Seeing the Revival getting tricked by the Usos. Yes, I know, we shouldn't really be seeing comedy in a type of feud like the Revival and the Usos. But I'm telling you guys, when they get in the ring, they can do whatever they want. I feel like the Revival and the Usos can do a lot of fun stuff, and then when they get into the ring, they're gonna deliver a great match. So that's why I'm just letting this go. I feel like this is fun stuff, and then when the match happens, I feel like it's gonna be a good one. Now, if the match flops and the match isn't that exciting, then there's an issue. But I've got a lot of hopes that the match that these two are going to produce is going to be pretty good. So at the time being, I'm just letting what happens, and if it's good, it's good, which in my personal opinion, I found it funny that the Revival that the Revival got pranked by the Usos, and yes, Gallows and Anderson were also laughing at the Revival. But either way, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter to me. In the end, this is all my opinion. In the end of the day, this is all my opinion. Everything I'm saying on here is my personal opinion. Then after that little hilarious segment ended, we had Lars Sullivan attacking No Way Jose and his conga line. So that's 5 superstars. That was 5 superstars from SmackDown who showed up. Vince said 3 people. But Vince later confirmed that Elias didn't count because Shane was with... That Elias was with Shane. So... But it seems like he's going to up it to 4. Vince is now going to up the wild card rule to 4 because Lars Sullivan came into his office. And then finally the main event was Kofi Kingston taking on Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. I actually enjoyed this. I enjoyed this match. I thought it was very well done. I thought it was very well done. It wasn't better than their WrestleMania match. I will say it wasn't better than their WrestleMania match because WrestleMania was a lot bigger in concept. So in the end, the crowd were into it. That's the other thing. The crowd were really into this match. I feel like the crowd were actually very good. You know, people like to talk about the crowds in the show. I actually thought the crowd was actually pretty good. Some things they didn't care about. There were some things they didn't care about. There were some things that they did care about. But they really cared about this main event. This main event was well hyped, and the fans were ready for this main event to see what was going to happen. Was Kofi going to continue his title reign, or was the new angry Daniel Bryan going to get his revenge? And also, I knew Kofi wasn't losing the title. I had like my friends coming to me saying, "Oh my God, Kofi Kingston's going to lose his title." I knew he wasn't going to lose. He's got a match with Kevin Owens at Money in the Bank. Why would you have him lose? Kevin just turned heel, so why would you have him lose? I potentially see Daniel Bryan probably being in a tag team with Eric Rowan to continue their partnership. It's either they continue their partnership with Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan and they get dropped down to the tag, or Daniel Bryan gets dropped down into the tag team division and partners with Eric Rowan, or they drop Daniel Bryan down to the Intercontinental Championship and they have him feud with Finn Balor, which that's something I wouldn't mind either. You know, they've got a lot of things they can do with Daniel Bryan. And yes, there was no Eric Rowan on Raw either. So it's either they've stopped the experiment with Eric Rowan and Daniel Bryan, or they're going to continue it when Bryan goes back over to SmackDown. We don't know for sure. So yeah, that was pretty much your Monday Night Raw. What did I think of it? Did I enjoy the show? In my opinion, I thought it was, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind Raw. I didn't mind Raw. I actually enjoyed quite a bit of the things that they did. In my opinion, I think it's really cool. Despite what people think of the wild card rule, in my opinion, for my nostalgia from the years of where I was watching wrestling and seeing that when Raw Superstars showed up and they called it the Raw Super Show, in my opinion, I really liked that. The Raw Super Show thing that they did in 2011, I actually liked it. I thought it was really good. It had its flaws. It definitely had its flaws. But in my opinion, I did like it. So, in my opinion, I think them doing this, it could help. I think doing this could potentially help. I don't think it will help the ratings as much as people think. But in my opinion, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this wild card rule. We'll see how long it goes. Will it deliver the way that Vince McMahon hopes? But I will say this. When we get to the point when we let WWE do this, but then when we edge closer and closer and closer to where SmackDown's about to go to Fox, that's when I say they should end it. That's when I will say they should stop this wild card thing when we get close to October, around August, September. I say around about then they stop the whole wild card thing and then they get ready to have SmackDown move over to Fox. That's when I think is a good time to put an end to it. So I'd say let it run for about up until August and then drop it. Then drop it after SummerSlam. That's where I think they should end it. I don't mind this. I don't mind it at all. At the end of the day, this is all my opinion. And if you guys don't like it, that's perfectly fine with me. Perfectly fine with me. So anyway, guys, that is the end of this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that thumbs up button if you guys did enjoy. Comment your opinions down below on your thoughts on the wild card rule. Do you guys like it? Do you guys not like it? It is your personal opinion. I will not attack you for your own personal opinion. So, hit that subscribe button as well. Be sure to hit the notification bell when you hit the subscribe button. Be sure to hit the bell and be notified when my next videos comes up. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for joining me for this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow when I talk about SmackDown Live.